Hello everyone, we're here to discuss and to celebrate the Engen Best Teacher Awards. This is grade 12 and our best teacher is here with me. This is Ingrid Barnsley. This was a creative writing lesson that you developed.
Yes.
Tell us about where it came from, what you were trying to deal with, how you developed a strategy to deal with whatever it was, and what happened.
Two main sources of inspiration for this one. One is Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, lovely book. And as a teacher, the teacher in that story had an idea that everything must be pared down, that we're looking at life on such a big scale, and if you make it smaller and smaller and smaller, and he gave his students the instruction of write about a building in your city. And then he said, no, these are terrible, write about one room in that building, write about one brick in the wall. And so that was the one stimulus. And the other was Dead Poets Society, where Robin Williams makes them stand on the table and look at life differently. I didn't really want everyone standing on my desks because they're a bit rickety. They might collapse and there'll be all sorts of injuries. So I thought of just change your perspective. Instead of everyone facing the front, they could perhaps face a wall or face outside to look at the view from the classroom. And even just rearranging your chairs will create a bit of a stir in the classroom because you've done something different. So that was the start of the lesson.
And what happened when they walked into your classroom and found things?
No, they sort of look nervously from side to side. What's going on? Is everything okay? Is there a bomb scare? What's they're very, very suspicious minds. And then when I just behaved as if it was part of the lesson, also very, very suspicious. They watch far too much violence on TV, so they thought something was up. And
had you made any other preparations apart from moving the furniture? What about paper?
And then there was a
like
blank page and a lined page on each desk.
Now, why blank and lined?
Because the first part of the lesson is what I would call speed writing. So I would just greet the class, sit down. In front of you is a piece of blank paper. You need to fill it as much as possible. No punctuation is necessary. They love that. You don't need to check your spelling, but you may not stop. And it's a bit of a competition to see how much you can get down. And what happens is pupils, the uptight pupils, immediately want the rulers out to rule lines on the unlined paper. The more relaxed pupils, the more sort of wacky, creative ones find it quite, this is different, this is fun, and they quite like that. And you time for 5 minutes, they must just write. And if they can't think of anything to write, they must write. I can't think of anything, has my teacher gone crazy? They must just keep writing and writing and writing. And then afterwards you look at what they've written, because within that nonsense might be a gem or two, might be an unusual image or a very expressive way of capturing someone's direct speech, because everything is just phonetic, no hesitation, no pauses, just write. And in a way, that's stream of consciousness.
Yes.
So that's quite a nice way to learn a different style. You can't have a whole essay stream of consciousness. They're not James Joyce yet. But they could have a paragraph, and maybe a paragraph at the very start or the end of the essay could be stream of consciousness. So that's the start of the lesson. And then the next stage is to take the ordinary lined paper and just look at this different view. They're always looking at the teacher, who's usually at the front of the class. Now look out. Can they see a different teacher? Can they see a bit of the fields? Can they see maybe there's graffiti on the wall or something like that? So just look out and see what's there. Maybe there's just a treetop. And sometimes looking at that different view, you might find something that's lively or interesting. So stage 2 is look at what you see from this new perspective.
Right.
And they write that in ordinary sentences. They don't have to get involved in editing just yet.
Okay.
And then from that, you narrow the focus.
Okay, so how long do you give them for that second, just observe what's in front of you?
It depends on your lesson. If it's a double, maybe 10, 15 minutes. If it's a single, maybe 5 minutes. Because once there's some views, they can always edit and enhance those later on.
Right, okay, so stage 3? Stage
3 is now look at just one segment of this new view. So it might be the brick, and the brick might have a bit of discarded press stick on. There might be a chip packet that they can see in the quad. There might be just a bird in a tree, and just narrow the focus as if it were a camera. You're just bringing it in closer. Now only, and is there something unusual? So they're looking at textures and different colors, and then after the focus has been narrowed, they must shut off the vision for a bit. They could close their eyes or just pay attention to sounds and have one paragraph only sounds, because often that's neglected. In an essay we tend to write what we see or what we feel, not what we hear. And it's quite nice to get them to use neologisms, newly invented words. Maybe they can hear the sounds of a music lesson, or maybe they can hear footsteps crunching on gravel outside. Sometimes those little nuances of sound we don't capture in essay writing, and they liven it up, you know, they make it sound. And with neologism they say, well, how do you spell you say, this is up to you, it's your word, you must spell it. And onomatopoeic words are also lovely to include there. The aim is that each of these is a different layer of your essay. So it's not just a story that sounds inauthentic and they've stolen the plot from CSI or Days of Our Lives or something like that. It's an authentic slice of school life, this particular essay. So the last body paragraph of the essay, I would suggest that they try to find something symbolic. Does that chewed pen speak of your stress and anxiety about your next maths test? Or does the brick symbolize all other learners who've been through these walls, within these closed walls? And then later on they can conclude and introduce. They might have the symbolic paragraph first, or they might have the sound effect paragraph first, or maybe the stream of consciousness they like where it is.
But it gives you that spin-off into structure, and then a spin-off when you can start editing or start doing peer assessments.
Because now you've got your different segments, and you can chop them up and rearrange. They can swap with a neighbor. I really like your stream of consciousness, so your sound effect paragraph rocks, and they can sort of experiment and puzzle it all together at the end.
How did they respond to this lesson?
Some are very suspicious, and some are a bit resentful that things have been shaken up a bit and it's not so comfortable and predictable. But some learners like it, and I think for some, school can be a very tired and stressful place. So why not shake things up and force them literally to look at things differently, and then maybe they'll write things differently, which is rewarding because they feel more confident with their ability to experiment. And it's rewarding in that the marks are higher and more scintillating.
So it has a wonderful feedback in terms of their own self-image.
Which
is great.
And how lovely, I mean, it's cheaper than therapy. How lovely to be able to express yourself and your anxieties and your observation in words, and then get credit for it. And some of the things that they've written, there's one that sticks in my mind. A pupil wrote, he addressed his essay to God, and he wrote in it, "Don't leave me hanging by my flesh on the hands of time." And it was a very, teenagers are full of angst, so it was a very angstic essay, but it's such a vivid image that you literally are draped by your flesh hanging on the edge of time, at time's mercy. So it really is just a different way of looking at life can free them and allow them that powerful way to express themselves.
Well, I think we feel absolutely inspired. I wish to race back into my classroom and change my furniture around. That's absolutely wonderful. And I think this is what it's all about, that teachers share good lessons, because sometimes we get very jaded ourselves and we need that inspiration. It's like going on a course. So thank you to Ingrid Barnsley for coming in, for talking to us, for sharing this fabulous lesson with us, or series of lessons. Now you've got a whole week prepared for the next term. And well done. The Engen Best Grade 12 Lesson, Best Grade 12 Teacher, Ingrid Barnsley. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks very much.